Hey everybody, this is Nicole, aka Reaperess,
And this is Alicia Norman.
and we are all fired up. So hey guys, we got a whole bunch of stuff coming to you today. I'm gonna get started first with a little story about poor Peter Navarro. Most of you saw a video that I did regarding an upcoming court case that he had, and I'm going to elaborate on how that court case went. So Peter Navarro, a Trump White House advisor charged with criminal contempt of Congress, could not argue to a jury that he was barred by executive privilege from providing testimony and documentation to the House committee investigating January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Navarro, who has written and spoken extensively about his role in efforts to reverse former President Donald Trump's 2020 electoral defeat, is set to go, he was set to go on trial in the contempt case. He is set to go on trial in the contempt case next week in the U.S. District Court of Washington. The charges stem from his refusal to comply with a subpoena issued by now disbanded bipartisan committee months before its televised hearing on the Capitol riot last summer and fall. Wednesday's ruling on the executive privilege issue by Judge Amita Mehta was a blow to Navarro, denying him a potentially helpful trial defense against two misdemeanor counts of contempt, each punishable by up to a year in prison. Jury selection is scheduled to begin Tuesday of next week. Navarro has pleaded not guilty. And let me make sure that was everything. Yep. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show is the aftermath of this, because one of the things I do remember from doing the work to get this put together was that he had a letter that was dated in January of 2023. That was what the video that I had done previously was about, and this court case was about that. But the only proof he had was a letter from Trump's lawyer Cochran, dated of January 2023, saying that he had given him executive privilege. But Navarro was never able to show any proof of that up until 2023, and we all know that Joe Biden wasn't extending any kind of executive privilege to anybody that had anything to do with January 6th and before and after.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah, no, not even a little bit. So what I'm going to show you guys real quick, I am going to get it set up, and then I will share the screen so you guys can see the video of what happened after his poor court case.
Anybody want to own up to that? Here's the problem.
Hero,
Who's this?
bro,
Yeah.
you're already facing charges.
Yeah, I get
Go ahead and come in.
So,
Already
So-
facing charges.
yes, okay. This is free speech. This is fine. I got no problem with that. I got a problem with people shouting behind me. That's a problem.
Jump
That's
law.
not right.
Come
But-
from prison.
Yeah. God, so good. So
Yeah, I love that. She was undeterred. She was like, jump
Oh,
in
yeah.
there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was phenomenally done. That looks like something Kathleen would do too.
Yeah.
I swear, if I didn't know that it wasn't her, it sounds like her. But that was pretty much my part in the story of Mr. Navarro. So is there anything that you want to talk on real quick?
Well, just that when you mentioned Kathleen, we were just talking about before the show how she has a shirt and it says, "Ask your doctor if Trump for prison is right for you."
Yes.
All these really great Trump related and 2020 election related merchandise on fightingwordsdesign.com.
Yes.
And I love her stuff. She just created a little tote with our new, like our revised
Yes.
logo, and I ordered it. So as soon as I get it, I'll show you guys. It is so good.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
Hold up.
I know I saw like the picture of it, but I can't wait to see it on something.
Hold up the cup so people see your nails too, because you be
Oh.
killing them nails all the time, girl.
Hold on. Let me make sure I can see myself so I know what I'm doing. Okay, these are this week's. And then my thumb.
I do like
They're
that.
kind of hard to see, but they're like all white and pink. So
I like how you bejewel them.
I know I've got so many jewels over here. It's ridiculous. Between here and in my little case, jewels and so many different things to put on my nails.
Oh, yeah, he's a flaming, a-hole. And the only reason why
One of many.
he's mad that he didn't get his way in court, and a lot of them aren't going to. For example, we just realized that Fonnie Willis is called bluffs, and she's going to go ahead and get people arraigned. Now, some of them waived their arraignment, which I didn't know was a thing you could do, but you could definitely.
I didn't either.
Yeah, they did that, and so, but I think that in a way that speeds things up even more. So great. The October date for a cheesy bro, as I call him, he's coming.
Oh, I love that.
And so, yeah, I'm just excited to get the whole process going. And I'm hoping Brian Kemp was being, forthcoming, and he wasn't really looking at, okay, I'm just going to take my hands off of it. But this committee that's coming up, they're the ones that are going to really lower the act, so I can say my hands are, like I said, I don't trust them as far as I'm concerned.
No, I know that there's more than enough reason not to trust Kemp. But I'm really hoping that he's not has some say in the committee, not doing anything to her.
Yeah, exactly. Like if they try to do anything, that he just kind of pulls rank and says, "Okay, y'all can't do this." Yeah. That's my hope, because if they do, I'm hoping people will petition and say, "Hey, you said this. Yeah, so we'd really like to see you guys actually do what you said."
Yeah, I mean, we know he has no love for Trump, so I think he may pull through with it for that reason alone.
One hopes.
To make sure that
So, I guess we want to kind of go right into, since we're talking about, Fulton County, going to Fulton County news. I wanted to go more into, what an arraignment is. And for those who may be a little bit confused, I mean, not everybody, has understanding of stuff. Like you might watch Law and Order, CSI, but you don't know a lot of what.
Right.
Some of that stuff
you is. Watch it all you want, but you may not know exactly what all that stuff means.
Exactly. So I am going to, let's see. An arraignment is, and how it will play out in Georgia. So an arraignment is a court proceeding in which a criminal defendant is formally advised of the criminal charges. So basically they show up in court and they go, okay, are you guilty or not guilty? You go, okay, guilty or not guilty. Or you can say nolo contendere. I'm not sure I'm saying that right, which basically just means I don't contest. It's almost like saying you're guilty without saying it. But you put in your plea.
Contesting the charges. Yeah.
And so the court will inform the defendant of their charges. And I guess when they waived it, what happened was the court sent them the document. The lawyers basically said, okay, great. And then from there, they were able to say, well, I plead not guilty, which all of them did. And now they're trying to sever from each other because I think each one of them saying, I don't know that crazy person. And I'm like, good luck. It's not how it works, Yeah. Because think about it. Even if you weren't in the room when plans were made, if, like, say, 3 people in a room making a plan, one person comes out of the room, gives you the plan. Even if you don't know the other two people in the room, you're still part of that bigger. That's what the RICO whole thing, the charges were. It's about everybody who's involved. So severing, it's an option, but it may not be. They may not be able to do it.
Right. And just because one wasn't in the room doesn't mean they weren't part of the RICO, because they were
Right.
still part of the planning in some way, shape, or form. That's why if some of these people are saying, well, I don't know them, chances are they're lying. But if they're not, it's because they weren't directly part of the conspiracy.
Right. That's like saying, baby, I don't know that lady. Yeah, yes, you do. Now, how come she know your name?
Mhm.
It's one of those things. So according to Forbes, the trial date that has been set thus far is October 23rd, when ex-Trump attorney Kenneth Chesebro's case will go to trial. After he asked for a speedy trial date, while attorney Sidney Powell has also filed a speedy trial request. Now, one question I did have is if they're trying to try everybody together with the advent of technology, is it possible to do it all virtually? That would be interesting, especially since they're allowing cameras, they're allowing devices. The judge just ruled on that. So what do you think? You think that's something they could do?
I think it's possible. I have heard that, and it's an iffy for this, but from what I understand is Fani is bringing up, well, if they're ready, let's bring the rest of them with.
Right. And I'm thinking that would be kind of cool. Make it virtual.
I
It makes it
agree.
easier. Then I don't have to get my happy butt. No,
Well,
car
Trump
drive
says he
down.
ain't showing up, so they have to be doing it some way.
Yeah.
Unless it's just his lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, fine, let everybody's lawyers show up.
Exactly. And going further, we talk about Rudy Colludi here. This mofo who boo.
Rudy Colludi, drunken Giuliani.
Yes, so he lost big time in court. According to The Hill, Judge Howell's ruling finds Giuliani civilly liable for default for defamation, intentional infliction of emotional stress, and civil conspiracy. So they ruled in favor of two Georgia election workers who sued Rudy Giuliani for defamation. That's Rudy Freeman and Shay Moss, further ordering the attorney associated with former Trump to pay sanctions. So Howell ordered Giuliani to pay nearly $90,000 in his business to pay more than $43,000 in reimbursement of legal fees that they incurred. The trial be set to consider further damages, and Howell's ruling gives Giuliani a final opportunity to turn over discovery for this trial. Now, as I understand it, you got some kind of video? Did you have the video?
I do. The video that I have is of the actual January 6th committee showing Ruby and Shay Moss. So let me go ahead, if you can. Thank you. This is from C-SPAN, from the January 6th committee.
Well, I know the events that we're here to talk about today are incredibly difficult to relive. Your proud service as an election worker took a dramatic turn on the day that Rudy Giuliani publicized a video of you and your mother counting ballots on election night. President Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and others claimed on the basis of this video that you and your mother were somehow involved in a plot.
I remember being
to kick out
upset watching.
observers, bring suitcases of false ballots for Biden into the arena.
You can see how emotional she's getting just reliving it. And I know
None of that was
to
true.
be hard. There's no money in the world that's going to pay for that.
I'd like to show you
Watching
some of the statements
Ruby,
that Rudy
I was
Giuliani made
heartbroken.
in a second hearing before the Georgia state legislators. A week after that video,
I was for Shay too, but Ruby just hit me.
Yeah.
Mr. Giuliani and President Trump. I want to advise viewers that these statements.
We know that the reality is they were trying to.
Disturbing.
There was a lot of reasons why they did this in particular. One of them is to decrease Black.
And one other gentleman, quite obviously.
Black civic involvement.
USB ports as if they're vials of heroin or cocaine. I mean, it's obvious to anyone who's a criminal investigator or prosecutor, they're engaged in surreptitious illegal activity again that day. And that's a week ago.
Not an ounce of proof.
Walking around.
Not an ounce of proof.
Lying. They should have been.
Racist dog whistles. They drug dealers. They criminals.
Yeah, I agree.
Their homes.
The cocaine and
ballots.
Like,
really.
dude, if they are they your dealers? Because you obviously own that stuff.
That video was from Rudy
Just
Giuliani's
everything
appearance
that they
at
went
a state
through.
hearing on December 10.
Could you
How did
imagine
how did you
getting
first become aware that Rudy
targeted
Giuliani,
by our
president's
president?
lawyer, was
Just trying to do your civic duty. Just trying to do something for your country.
Right.
There's not an ounce of any type of reality to what you're saying, but they know. It's just like the last thing I wanted to mention before we go into our comments. Actually, we were gonna. Did you show the shirt? You already showed the shirt.
I will.
When I went
Okay.
to the office,
I just
former
wanted
director,
to.
Mr. Barron,
There's a
was
video
in
of
there,
Trump on
and they showed me a
phone with
video
somebody
on their computer.
talking about them.
Just like a very
We could
short
stop
clip
there, or we
of
Yeah.
could stop
us
with
working
Miss
at
Ruby.
State
It's up
Farm,
to you.
And it
Yeah,
had
yeah, we can stop here.
someone on the video like talking over the video, just saying that we were doing things that we weren't supposed to do, just lying throughout the video. And that's when I first found out.
You can kind of see Shamos in the back.
their social media posts?
Oh, Ruby,
that they showed
Ruby in
you?
the back. That's
I mean,
Shay.
Ruby. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, when I saw the video, of course, the first thing
Could you
that I
imagine
said
finding
was,
out about
why?
it?
Why are they doing
I
I
that?
mean,
video?
and then probably found out about somebody coming at them like crazies, and they're like, "What the heck's going on here?" Because
We saw a
Trump and
YouTube
his
video
allies were not
of
satisfied
of
with
Trump.
the outcome of the election.
the video that
and
they're
they-
gonna
they
show
were getting
here.
a lot of
That's how she
threats,
found out.
being harassed online, and asked me, have I been receiving anything, and I need to check on my mom. And I told them, I was like, where have they, where have you been getting these threats? I don't believe I have any. And Mr. Jones told me like they're attacking his.
I didn't realize
Facebook,
they were
and
Fulton
I don't
County
really use
election
Facebook. I have
workers
one,
until
so I went to the Facebook.
Julie.
well,
app.
again, there's just dog whistles all around. That's why I had a gentleman recently who was telling me, after I wrote an article about this kind of stuff and how the GOP and people in the GOP are trying to put people like me back in chains. And he goes, I don't know one individual who's ever tried to, and that I know was to put you in chains. I said, do you realize there's more than one way to enslave a person? You take away their voice, you take away their ability to engage in everything that another American could engage in. You
Great
take away their
example is-
ability to vote.
After this happened, she didn't go out for months.
Yeah.
I'll be
That's how he enslaved her. And that's what they want to do. Even me, I was trying to tell my husband, I'm afraid to go out.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to go out. I could be going to Dollar General, get shot.
A lot of these threats and
Hell,
wild
girl,
comments,
I'm
racist
afraid to
in
go
nature.
out these days.
A lot of them were racist. A lot of them were just hateful. Yes.
In one of the videos we just watched, Mr.
think
Giuliani
they're gonna
accused you and
get
your mother
into
of
the
passing
other
some
video
sort of
here.
USB drive to each other. What was your mom actually handing you on that video?
A ginger mint.
It wasn't just Rudy Giuliani. We heard President Trump make these false allegations repeatedly during his call with Secretary Raffensperger. Let's listen to a portion of what he had to say about you and your mother.
He constantly loves
We had
throwing out riggers.
Mm-hmm.
at least 18,000 that's on tape. We had them counted very painstakingly. 18,000 voters having to do with Ruby Freeman. She's a vote scammer, a professional vote scammer and hustler.
See how we have to put the word hustler in there? Because we be hustling. Do-de-do-de-do.
That is just horrible.
Yeah. You know what that was about.
No,
They use that loaded
absolutely.
language because they know. I mean, you know how many times I heard somebody use the term hustling at me? I'm like, I ain't hustled in my life. I
Well,
started
it's
working
like how
around.
they're saying now on, like, I think it was on Fox or Newsmax, that the president will be able to relate to African Americans more now because he has a mugshot.
Yeah, let's go back into the whole world
I
criminal.
was looking at my husband. I'm like, are they
Just say
are
that.
they saying what
What did your husband say?
Oh my God, he was just shaking his head. He was just like, oh my God.
That's just how stupid they are, though. They
Yeah.
don't think we hood now. We're in the ghetto.
Yeah, like I told my husband's friend, Ray's, I said the only hood that he's in is like the white hood. Like the white hood.
So,
Get out of
they're
here.
crazy. That's like coming up to me and going, you know, you look hungry. You want some chicken and watermelon? I mean, it's just
Oh my
they have to
God.
pull out the tropes.
Yes.
That's so stupid.
I just can't.
But so let's kind of slide. Well, before we go into the comments, we were gonna give a toss out back to Kathleen with Fighting Words Design. You were gonna show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was. Let me go ahead and grab my stuff here. You guys have seen the beautiful cup, of course. It's got our logo on it. This is the old logo, as is the shirt, but I just want you guys to see. It's got our solidarity fist up on there.
And
We
the
called it
colors.
something else too.
Purple for the
Yeah,
RICO,
and the colors-
pink for me, and then we've got
Pink for
the
you,
yellow
yep.
plane.
And as soon as I have it, I'm gonna buy the new one, the new shirt too. As soon as I got the money, I'm gonna buy the new shirt, and I might just buy a tote bag too, because she's got tote bags, y'all. She
So
started
we're
selling
gonna
tote bags.
we're gonna put all the information in the description for those who may be interested in checking out the merchandise and anything else that she's got there, because she's got a bunch of really cool stuff.
Yeah, she's got amazing stuff, and like we were talking about before, they were trying to take down her what does the shirt say again?
The one they were trying uninstall
Yeah.
Donald Trump, and they were trying to get rid of that.
Yeah, the lawyers were trying to get involved with that. Is Donald Trump in prison right for you?
I like that one too. Those
Yeah,
are awesome.
and then don't forget you can use BYOH10 for 10% off of her whole store.
Yep.
So I just got an alert about Rudy Giuliani.
Oh no, what?
I don't know. I'm getting ready to go into it right now. Breaking news. An FBI whistleblower just revealed that Rudy Giuliani was compromised by Russian intelligence while he was trying to find dirt on Joe Biden during the 2020 election. Yeah. It's a report from Mother Jones.
That's crazy. Not
Yeah.
unexpected for anybody paying attention, but that's crazy.
All things lead back to Russia.
Yeah, Russia, Russia, Russia. He was right when he said Russia, Russia, Russia.
Ukraine. Yeah. Ridiculous.
For the reason they're saying.
So there's something that I wanted to talk about. Something that I think that people need to be a little bit more vigilant about. Something that I learned about. Let me see if I can get in here. Can you stop shaking, please? Thank you. Okay, I don't know why, but my screen is okay. Let me go in here. Done. Sorry, all my thing is being weird. Okay, so I learned about something. Okay, this made my stomach churn at every single turn. I'm gonna slow down my scrolling so I can get through this. So I learned about something through TYT called the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officer Association. So what they are is that they teach elected sheriffs that they must protect their citizens from overreach of an out-of-control federal government by refusing to enforce any law that they deem unconstitutional or unjust. And this group has been expanding across the U.S. A collaborative investigation between the Howard Center for Investigative Journalism and the Arizona Center for Investigative Reporting found. So the sheriff's group has spread its ideology to at least 30 states, becoming more mainstream in part by securing state approval for taxpayer-funded law enforcement training. It has held formal trainings on its constitutional curriculum for law enforcement officers in at least 13 states over the past 5 years. In 6 states, the training was approved for law enforcement officers continuing education. There's a whole bunch more here. So the group also has supporters who sit on 3 state boards in charge of law enforcement training standards. So basically, the people who say this is good training are part of the same group of the people who are being trained through this group. And from what I understand, some of the laws that they're refusing to enforce is gun control, election fraud claims. It's basically any law that they feel is
They don't like. They're trying
They
to
don't
become
like.
judge, executioner, everything.
correct.
And basing on their own interpretations. And when
Correct.
people like that do that, marginalized groups, gays, trans people,
Correct.
any group that they don't like becomes in the crosshairs, and they'll use the excuse of the Constitution to harm citizenry who isn't white.
Correct.
Mhm.
In
We know what that's
addition,
about.
oh yeah. In addition, reporters found at least a dozen U.S. counties influenced by the sheriff's groups have considered constitutional county resolutions over the past 2 years. The resolutions range from a simple reaffirmation of support for the constitutional rights of county residents to empowering local governments, including sheriffs, to refuse to enforce state and federal laws that they interpret as unconstitutional.
Because they're
Nevada-
lawyers and they went to school for that. No, they didn't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Two Nevada counties, Lander and Ecklo, have become lifetime CSPOA members, a step that includes a $2,500 fee paid directly to the sheriff's group. To track the spread of the sheriff's group, reporters filed public record requests with state law enforcement, standard and training boards in the lower 48 states and in the District of Columbia related to the group and its communications with officials. Reporters ultimately reviewed thousands of pages of emails and other correspondence, scoured financial records, corporate filings, court documents, and even spoke with dozens of national extremism experts, community members, public officials, and county sheriffs. So that's how they got all that information. I personally, I am pretty interested to find out if anything in my state is using these guys.
Yeah, because it's
That-
just
that
about
needs to get
using
shut down.
abusing their powers and using the Constitution to back up the abuse of their powers. And,
Yeah,
and that's
basically, And their ideology, I'm sure you can guess what letter is behind their name. It's not a D.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I know they're going to
Yeah.
try to go after marginalized groups. It leads me to
Yeah.
one of the things that I wanted to mention. I was going to mention at the end, but I might mention it now since this is kind of a good segue. Hold on. I'll go back to it.
Oh yeah, go for it.
So I think it was yesterday. It was Elijah McClain's the anniversary of his death, and I'd heard of it peripherally, but it wasn't until his anniversary that I really looked into what happened to Elijah McClain. And I have to say that this is probably the saddest of the stories. I mean, all of the stories are sad, but I look at this story and it still chokes me up. I know Arnold Schwarzenegger himself
Yeah,
said it was heartbreaking. And
Yeah.
it is. You got
I
this young,
watched this video. Yeah,
beautiful soul who never hurt a fly, who played violin for kittens. He learned how to play music so that he could, and it just, I think the thing that got me, I was watching the video and I hear him apologizing to the cops because he thought he'd done something so wrong. And I sit there and I think to myself, yeah, this is what these sheriffs want. They want to go after these poor little kids and feel justified and just stamping out people like that. The world needs Elijah McClain. They don't need these fucking, excuse my language, these bullies who want to use a document to go around and hurt little kids like this. And I won't say little kid, he was 23 years old, but he had the mind of a child.
Yeah.
He was a beautiful spirit. Like I said, as I was trying to explain to my husband who was trying to ask me why I was so broken up about it. So I'm broken up about it because, the world is full of darkness. We don't need to be stamping out any light.
Yeah.
And he was light. He was.
He really was.
And because those guys were one of the guys that killed him, he had once referred to Black people as porch monkeys. Right? So it was a guy who never saw his humanity. He let that baby die, ask him to go home. I just want
far from home either.
I just want to just kind of give a shout out to this baby and let him know we're not going to forget.
Yeah.
And we're fighting for the Elijah McClains of the world to make sure they feel safe. There should be training to handle young autistic children and adults, mentally ill. You can't just strong arm them. My son, when he gets agitated, he doesn't like to be touched. He'll do this when I try to touch him and stuff. Because he gets a sensory overload and so if Elijah was in a place of having a lot of sensory overload, he definitely would have been doing what's flapping. My son, when he gets agitated, he does this with his hands. That's called flapping. It's a way to keep himself under agitated, like to calm himself.
Yeah.
So if he was doing these really odd behaviors, it's because he was agitated. And so that's the thing that gets me. Whenever I think about this story, this poor kid, he just kept saying, "I'm different. I'm sorry, I'm different."
Yeah, this story, I know we have talked about this story previously, just privately, you and I, and that is what scares me the most about you being down there. And I know that can happen anywhere, but I'm so scared for my nephew because he is a little different. And it just really, it hits. And I know it hits much harder for you, but it hits home for me too, because that's my nephew.
I'm just thinking of your nephew somewhere, like they sat there and they talked and they just chilled while that child was dying. It just shows you I'm glad that they are looking at the crosshairs of sentence, of being incarcerated for what they did. Yeah. And the family, they received $15 million in settlement. That money will never bring that child back.
It'll never bring that child back, but I'm sure as how glad that they had to pay something.
Yeah.
To that family.
Yep.
Because it was so wrong.
It was. It just was. So, girl, a segue from that to talking about these crazies and the comments and the things that they're saying, because these people are nuts.
Well, I have one more really good story before we get to any comments.
Okay, hold on. Let me stop share here.
I didn't put the comments in the slide. I only had the one, but I can read it out.
Okay.
I have the Mark Meadows story. Let me see if I have I don't think I have any. Oh, I do. Hold on. I have slides. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all emotional.
No, I feel you because yesterday, as I just kept crying. I couldn't stop crying.
Yeah, I bet. So what I mean, like, with everything that's going on down there and down south, like, that scares me so much. And like, I
Well,
know he's never met me, but like, you're my sister, and that's my nephew.
and and the thing that really kind of scares me too is like, I want to go down to the courthouse. I've got friends who write to me going, "Don't go, don't go, Alicia. You're a writer. Your voice is your word. Don't go." But the thing that I don't want to start crying, but the thing that makes me want to go, is I want to fight for the Elijahs.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in this like ivory tower writing my stories, but I want to get my hands in the dirt because I think that's what they deserve.
Yeah. Also, I will give this link to Alicia. This is the link to the story about the sheriffs and peacekeepers. So it gives like the whole original story. I just kind of picked some of it, but
Yeah, I might do a stack on it because that's some BS, and I think people need to know about it because I don't think enough people know
I don't either.
they're doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw this about Andrew Weissman, and I'm not sure how big you guys can see this, but so Mark Meadows went and did his arraignment thing to try to get his thing moved to federal court. And in doing that, he decided not to take the fifth, and he took the stand. And I don't know if he, and honestly, I'm going to say he knew that he was lying because he told them that he had no part in the coup, like the actual planning of the coup. Now, separate from calling Brad Raffensperger, there's emails of him actually helping plan with other stuff. So I had, let me see if I can make this page a little bit bigger for you guys, because I really want you guys to see this one. This was from the judge, I believe. Come on. Let me see if it will make it bigger. All right. No. Okay. Now I gotta come over here and move it. Okay, so let me see. Under cross-examination, he insisted that he did not play any role in the coordination of slates of the fake electors. That's what it was. Throughout 7 states, the defendant was forced to acknowledge under cross-examination that he had in fact given direction to a campaign official in this regard. Specifically, what he did, and I remember this, is he told somebody, "Do you think you could get it was for Georgia? Do you think you can get the recount done before January 6th? If the Trump campaign, not the administration, the Trump campaign paid for extra help." So that is what he had to admit, because there was let me see down here. The court has ample basis not to credit some or all of the defendant's testimony. Because they did find that he was lying about some of it. And then I found this and I couldn't help myself.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller so we can all see it.
Crimes unit. Say, we're gonna need a bigger
Oh
unit.
yeah, we're gonna need a bigger unit. I saw this and I was like, yes, ma'am. Trump Crimes Unit. That was the best.
Get him, Fonny, get him.
Oh, I know, I cannot wait. And then this was, let me see. Oh, yes, we have something. That's going to be the end. I met a gentleman through Glenn Kirshner's, it was his meet and greet for the Team Justice. And this gentleman is one of the people who is organizing for what are they called? This state Secretary of State. There we go. Sorry, I had a little for the Secretary of States to disallow Trump to be on the ballots. And he has a whole Substack where he talks about it. And he also has a letter already written out, and you just fill out the information and you send it to your Secretary of State. And we know that there's already, I believe it is in New Hampshire.
Because the Florida one, the dude threw it out because he said it lacked standing.
Right. There's one
but
in
there's one in Michigan. So there's several different ones, and I'm glad because if we can just nip this in the bud. I was saying that there's pros and cons to it, but the biggest pro is that he won't be able to hide under the election thing. If that's taken away from him, he needs it. He can't be going election interference. He won't have that. He won't have his binky anymore. So
I'm going to show this to you guys, and we're gonna also include this in the
link.
But I wanted you guys to see this because this guy is amazing. He's actually one of the organizers of this whole thing. So his name is, I'm not going to try that last name, but Dean. I emailed him directly because I went to the event on Zoom because I couldn't make it. But I emailed him directly that night and told him who I was. And why I wanted to use his information. So as you guys can see on the screen, he's been doing a lot of work. Don't mind that. I am, let me get out of here, continue reading. I am actually subscribed to him, but this is on this computer. Thus was born Section 3 of the 14th Amendment that provides no person shall be a senator, representative in Congress, or elector of president, vice president, or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who having previously taken the oath of the same as a member of Congress or as an officer. You guys get the point there. They cannot be on the ballot. And then also if they wanted to still be on the ballot, it would take 2/3 of each house to remove such disability of the 14th Amendment. So yeah, if you see down here, he talks about the two gentlemen, for one from, I know one of them's from Chicago, but they're the ones that made the case about Trump being disqualified from holding office. And then down at the bottom here, he says he's drafted a letter. Let me see. A short email posted at the end of the article, and I'll show you guys the the letter that he wrote. Let's see here, and here it is. This is what you would send to the Secretary of State. You just need to Google who Secretary of State and what state you live in, and then find their address. Like I know mine is Alexi. I don't remember his last name. But yeah, you just send this letter in and fill in the blanks, and it all lays everything out. Thank you for your considering the issue that is vitally important to protecting our republic.
Mhm.
So that we will include this Substack link.
Mhm.
You don't have to subscribe to get to it. You just need to follow the link, and the letter will be at the very bottom. So that was the one story I had. And then the last thing was the Mark Meadows story.
Mhm.
Because that one's a good one too.
Oh man, and it's funny too. I had a friend of mine who was saying that if we are willing to let some dude who tried to take over our government run for office, we deserve what we get. So I do think that it is imperative that we don't allow him on the ballot. But if he does get on, that he loses so soundly
Yeah.
that they know that they
Like
can't.
we said, he'll get through the primary.
Mhm.
He'll win the primary, but he ain't gonna win the general.
No, there's no way.
There's too many Dems and independents who want nothing to do with
Do with
him.
that man, exactly. So that's what, and I think Republicans realize that, and that's why they're like, get him off the ballot.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm almost like, don't. They deserve it. They deserve
Right.
to go down with the Trump Titanic.
Right.
They named that monster.
The thing that I showed you about Mark Meadows, this story is loosely related with it. This is what happened during that court case that he had. So this kind of goes over everything that happened in his court case to try to get it removed, just so everybody knows kind of what happened. So the testimony from Trump's White House chief of staff could actually change everything for everybody. Judge Steve Jones from the Northern District of Georgia heard the blockbuster case. There are 3 things that he would have to do in order to show that he could get his case moved to the Atlanta, to get it moved federally. 1 is that he is a federal officer, which he was. 2, he was acting under the color of law. And 3, that he has a credible defense, federal defense. And he has to show that all 3 of them are in order for him to move them. But one of the issues is that some of the things he was doing were not under the color of law.
Exactly.
For his position. See, he was calling secretaries of states, asking questions about elections. Be it that he was a White House administration member, he would be defying the Hatch Act. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Hatch Act of 1939 is an act to prevent basically partisan political activities in the United States. And it is a United States federal law. So its main provision prohibited civil service employees, so federal employees, outside of the branch, in the branch of the federal government, except for the president and vice president. Obviously, they can partake in political things. From engaging, so this is supposed to prevent others from engaging in some forms of political activity. If he was working on the re-election campaign, which had to do with, you guessed it, calling secretaries of state and other state level individuals discussing the 2020 election, it is a clear violation of the Hatch Act. Mark Meadows unbelievably waived his Fifth Amendment right and decided to take the stand. And took the stand, testified for several hours, launched a Hail Mary defense to see if there's even the slightest bit of a nexus for federally for him to get the case moved. Now, while I understand that he admitted to several things, to working on federal campaigns, he admitted to calling people like Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, which we know about the infamous call. They asked if, which I told you about a few minutes ago, asked if he could speed up the count before the 6th, which I didn't know about until I did this.
Right.
The key word here is campaign. Like he was asking for help with the campaign.
We're almost heading towards an hour.
Okay, I'm almost done.
Okay.
One key moment of the trial is when Brad Raffensperger took the stand. The judge specifically asked him if contents of the call, like I said, the Trump, we need 11,780 vote call. If that is something that he would usually talk with secretaries of state about. Let me see here. Meadows' lawyer tried to say that they were calling regarding some court case settlements, which, what? There were no court cases, and as far as I understand, he said that that's not generally what they would talk about if he called them.
Mhm.
Let me see here. But what case he didn't have cases in Georgia anymore at the time during the call, and using taxpayer resources as the chief of staff, emailing individuals from other states regarding their election information, and setting meetings regarding the election fraud cases. It also does not help Meadows actually, can't believe he said this to them, but he told the judge that he referred to the Hatch Act as a law that nobody generally outside the Beltway cares about, which, so no rulings have been set yet, but he does have an arraignment for September 6th as of now. Judge Jones did say that if he does not hear anything, his butt better be at that arraignment. Because he needs to show up to be arraigned for Fulton County.
Mhm.
A late night briefing from Judge Jones asked that Mark Meadows, Fonnie Willis, regarding Mark Meadows saying that one of the acts he made, which was not in furtherance of the crime, that should be enough for the case to be moved federally, and that's the ruling that I showed you a little bit earlier. And then other than that, that just saying that, like, if that is the case, like a lot of that stuff was not known about until this arraignment, that his testimony actually really could change a lot for a lot of people. And so I just wanted to tell you guys about that. That was the most updated information for Mark Meadows. Here it is. Yeah, see, it shows right up. It's from our last podcast where we talked about the indictments and the photos. So this is the comment from one of the maggots, whatever you want to call them. So what he wrote, and I'm going to take this down so it's a little bit easier to read. What owes nothing fears nothing. Once again, he shows that he complies and does not run away. The best see his face with that fury. He will return, and you will see once again that he will be the best president, and he will fix all this mess that is. You know I had to respond, guys. I'm sorry. Let me bring the whole camera up. Okay, so I wrote back to him. I'm sorry, but the only damn mess I see is this joke of a House of Representatives and their sham BS investigations. instead of passing actual bills that will do anything for our country. And speaking of passing shit, how about sorry, my cat's in here if you can hear that. How about passing some actual smart gun legislation, since your Fuhrer wants to keep being a complete tool and causing his deranged followers to cause more and more stochastic terrorism in this country. And then because you dumbass maggots keep telling on yourselves and proving more and more how much he needs to go to jail for all his crimes, he's going to end up in prison, not the White House.
The big house, not the White House.
The big house, not the White House.
And it's just funny. You just listen to that and you just say to yourself, what are these people smoking?
Yeah, I
That's
couldn't.
some good
I
stuff.
couldn't. I had to read it a couple times.
Yeah, me too. Because I was like, what?
I was just like, what are you talking about?
And it's just sad. This is your brain on MAGA.
Right.
It's just like, geez. So yeah, we get those kind of interesting little comments and stuff, and we want to read them because we just want to show, this is what we're up against when we're trying to talk logic and reason. We're talking to people who he's a cult leader.
Yeah. That's what I call him, your Fuhrer.
Yeah.
I refuse to call him ex-president.
And they shouldn't be doing it in documents. I think one document, somebody called him president. I'm like, Citizen Trump.
Sein
All
Führer.
Citizen Trump.
Sein Führer.
Orange, what they call him? Mango Mussolini.
Mango Mussolini, yes. I think I called him that. I don't remember if anybody else does.
It's hilarious. I think another good one I heard was a cantaloupe Caligula. That was a good
Oh my god.
girl, but yeah, that's
Orange Oratory. It's not spelled correctly, but damn it sounds good.
but yeah, I mean, it's so hard to keep up. I think the guys in Meadows were saying, man, it's so hard to keep up with everything. Popok was saying, can you imagine, like, when we first started our channel, trying to keep up with everything that's happening today, it was very difficult.
I could not imagine starting our channel back when all of this
stuff started. It's crazy. It is so great.
It would have been worse.
But we'll just call it tonight so we don't make it too long. But I as always enjoyed doing this and putting out there for people because it matters. It matters getting the truth out. It matters countering the crazy stuff.
I hope you guys don't mind the little bit longer episode. We had a lot of things we wanted to cover tonight.
Exactly.
A lot of important things. And with the court cases and stuff, between the different ones that are going to be coming up, some of these might run a little close to an hour.
Well, I'm hoping they'll give us the time because sometimes people they'll tap out after about 30 minutes. But hopefully you guys stick with us, write it out, and get the information and use that truth to get people going.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, you want to lead us out?
Yeah, well, it was a pleasure being with you guys. My name is Nicole, aka Reapers.
And I am Alicia Norman.
And we are all fired up. Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
See you next week.